Good afternoon and welcome to the third Moretti and session. And this week it's a Moretti and a Jáger bomb. And last week what we did, we talked to Sarah Birkinshaw, who touched on the furlough scheme and all the risks to employees about coming back and how to bring people back in terms of the employment law. And she also touched on the health and safety issues with regard to risk assessments and those sorts of things, which kind of created a real natural feed into today's guest. And to be honest, we're massively lucky to have today's guest because to get into his busy showbiz schedule has not been easy. Ryan is the face of Channel 5's news for all things COVID and hospitality, so we are delighted to see him here. So I'd like to welcome Ryan Fraser, who is the MD of Mad Franz, which is a fantastic bar in Leeds City Centre, and the Redefine Group. So welcome to the show.
Welcome. It's a pleasure.
So the very first question we've got before we go back in is they're asking you, Ryan, why are you wearing a Santa's hat? I was going to ask you later on.
All will be revealed.
All will be revealed a little bit later on. So
just a bit of the bet I've got going off, you know what I mean? I'll do it all to a few quid, so yeah.
That's about it, which is good. So Ryan, give us a bit of an overview of the two businesses that you've got and how it's been affected by COVID. So let's start with Mad Franz and let's go on then on to the Redefine Group.
Okay, so as many will know or do know if they went to Phil's do at Christmas time in end of November last year, I opened a bar restaurant in Leeds on Wellington Place, which was open 4 months, and also then COVID hit and we got told to close on that fateful Friday night at 12 o'clock. So the impact of that obviously is being significant, not just for the business, but also the staff and there's people's livelihoods at stake as well. Also, the furlough scheme has been fantastic in that respect. It's been a great saviour. I suppose one of the biggest worrying things really was that the government has always said that it's going to be, one of the last sectors to open is the hospitality sector. There's talk of it possibly beginning of July. There's nothing 100% regards that as yet, but that could just be takeaway and also sort of outside space. So we have got a separate lease for outside, so we've got a great space outside. However, on Wellington Place, as many will know, there's circa 10, 12,000 office workers down there, and the development's only halfway built, which causes a bit of an issue with people not returning to the office for quite some time, which also means the trade down there, even if we were to open, say, mid-July or end of July, there's going to be obviously a very large trade deficit regards people obviously coming into Mad Franz, but also as you may have seen, as Phil was mentioned on the news, I've sort of talked about the fact that if the social distancing in place at the 2 metre stance, as everyone's saying, there may be, then this creates a huge problem. And we would lose about 75-80% of our covers in the restaurant, which obviously, you doing the numbers, Phil, is phenomenal. And it sort of questions whether it's actually worth reopening at that stage. Yeah. It's an interesting one, really. So Mad Franz as a whole, it's a venue in the new business district in Leeds. And it's great for a beer, so it's open morning up until night. Bottoms brunches Saturday, Sunday lunches, and obviously it's a great party venue as well. We've got a lot of flexibility, and obviously all those who came on NAs that do a good bit of drink. Yeah,
I can certainly vouch for Mad Franz being a fantastic venue. I mean, we used it. I think we was the opening party. I think more or less on that. Yeah. I think you opened on the Wednesday, and we took over it on the Friday. It was a great night. Felt rough the next day, but also in terms of the food as well, I didn't realize how good the food would be, and we've been quite a lot. I've brought the family down quite a bit. I've even I raved about it that much. Our football team came down after a Sunday game in Leeds.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, it certainly is it's a top class establishment, and it was just starting to get on its feet. So it was just a shame that it kind of got halted in its tracks a little bit. But I'm sure that you'll make it work, and hopefully it'll come back even stronger. So tell me about the Redefined Group then. So tell me how the background on that and where you're at and that sort of stuff.
So Redefined specialise in sort of workplaces. That doesn't have to be offices. It could be hotels, bars, restaurants, schools, where anyone works. Basically, is what we do. So there's sort of two elements to that business, which is sort of refurb and fit outside. Then there's a commercial furniture division, and like anyone else, when the news came, we went in lockdown. The business basically is shut and it's closed. We've been getting inquiries over the last week where people are now looking at the return to work. Obviously, as employers, they're looking at how or what they need to do regards their space. So things are going to start picking up in that side. I can't really see anyone spending, well, which we're going to talk about in the call, but sort of vast amounts on what I call new refurb work. It's looking at adapting and space planning their particular space, which also is going to be key for the return of workers. So that's kind of really defined in a nutshell. There's sort of two divisions, as I say, and it's all to do with the commercial space.
So you're kind of on the fence, on both sides of the fence, really, with this, aren't you, with both businesses. One, Mad Franz has been massively affected in terms of the way its ability to trade and its ongoing position, whereas Redefine Group also has a bit of a chance and an opportunity to redefine itself, I suppose. Sorry, that was a shit pun, wasn't it? I do apologise. So I do apologise for that. So. And I've lost my train of thought now. So yeah, so Mad Franz is obviously on that side of the problem. And then on the other side of it, there's an exciting opportunity for Redefined to get involved and support its clients and its business contacts about managing logistically getting us back to work. So there's a couple of areas that I want to talk to you about today. One of them is about the logistics of getting people back into work. And then the other is around people. So if I can, just to set the scene, how do you feel about all this then? Because you're on both sides of the fence.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's not good in respect of, not the way I've been negative. So it's not good for the sort of daunting thought of a business owner. The weight of that being on their shoulders regards staff safety. It's there anyway, and it's always been there. But now there's going to be a lot more emphasis on making sure that the fear factor it isn't there when people are returning. And I mentioned fear because I firmly believe the biggest factor of getting staff to return to work is fear. A lot of people are set in a routine. Everyone knows how the human race works. You can easily adapt and change, and people get into a certain rhythm. And the thing with it is, you've got a lot of people now being at home, getting up when they want, having a good drink at home, and getting into certain routines. I see that Moretti thing behind you there, Phil. Nice.
Oh, this. Well, actually, I've got a beer pump. So now, because this is starting to take off a little bit, what I kind of figured was I needed some more beer. So I've ordered 6 kegs of beer, which is about 100 pints. So for me, I think this is now tax deductible because I'm using it for business reasons. Because, of course, that's the only time I would drink it. So I'm over the moon about that being in place now.
Yeah. So, well, listen, I know a few good accountants. I'll ask if that is tax.
You ask if you're allowed to do it or not. Right, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Some proper people, you know what I mean? So where were we? So yeah, so there's big opportunity for Redefined, but like I say, there's a big fear factor of people returning back to work, and obviously the employer has got a big responsibility in adhering to certain things that they're going to need to do to make sure that place is safe for people to obviously feel safe and not have that fear of returning to work. So there's going to be go on, sorry.
Go on.
No, sorry. So there is going to be an opportunity in respect of that side, but also because there's not going to be loads of people who are coming back to work. Offices, they're sort of saying there could be easily a 40-50% reduction in staff working in offices up until sort of Christmas or the beginning of next year. That obviously then you look at that and think, right, hang on a minute. So my business model is built on commercial space. If people aren't going to be there, is that going to have an impact? So it's a bit of a seesaw, really.
Okay, so I'll come back to the fear factor at the end, because there's something I think that I, particularly as a business owner, am concerned about the welfare of the team and them coming back to work and then spending money, and then feeling comfortable in the fact of going back to work. So I'll come back to that. So what I want to talk about now really is about getting people back to work, getting the business prepared, and things like that. So is there any sort of legislative requirements that we need to be considering when we're talking about bringing our teams back to work?
Yeah, one of the big things that's been mentioned, I think you mentioned this with Sarah last week, obviously, every business needs to do a risk assessment. And there's a number of reasons why they need to do that assessment. And what the purpose of that is, it's not going to return back, what we call the traditional office isn't going to return back to a sense of normality until next year, if it does at all. There's a lot of people, a lot of businesses will be looking at saying, right, I've had a certain amount of people working at home, I've had a certain amount of people on furlough. I've spoken to quite a few people that said, you know what, we've actually operated as good, if not better, with less staff. So they're looking at overhead costs, which is obviously a big thing. But when you look at people's sort of well-being in a workplace, it could be office, could be manufacturer, it could be any business type. There's, like I said, there's that responsibility for the owner or the person in charge to ensure that it's adequately assessed. And I know that Sarah at Quest has got various forms that people can use and sort of take advantage of to ensure that they are covering certain areas. Because well, you've got just as a traditional, let's say, I know you've got 4 offices, but let's say you got your head office in Leeds. So you've got people coming up to your front door, pressing their buzzer straight away. Bang, there you go. They're pressing their buzzer. So you got to think about that side there. Next person comes on, press that buzzer. How do they know that's clean? You've got to open the door, or remember, staff opening the door for someone. You've got an automated system there, but ultimately they're going to be pushing the door. So they might use the hand, so they might use the shoulder. You then got someone going through to reception, opening the door into reception, also coming out of reception back into, going outside back to the car. You've got people sat down, cups. You've got a coffee machine. You've got a nice coffee station, Phil. So you've got various.
Where did I get that from?
Some beautiful guy with a Santa arm. Yeah, so straight away there, you've literally been 30 seconds, and you've got so many obstacles straight away. You're then going to go into a meeting potentially. We're looking at the 2-meter rule. And one thing I was going to say, I've heard that there's a chance that in mid-July they may be looking at the 1-meter rule. And apparently the word is the government are going to let, or its agents are going to let the world know, whatever it is, if we can do the 1-meter rule. So that would be a game changer, certainly in regards to France and also offices as well. But you've got a meeting there, or you might have staff who are coming in through that same door going up to work. They still need to go to the toilet. There's handles there, flushing the toilet, using taps. Switches if you've not got PIRs in your office. Like I say, the kitchen area, passing someone on the stairs. There are so many different areas within a workspace, and obviously there's quite a lot of people who don't have a huge office. It's quite cramped. There's some businesses. I've just been to a business yesterday where they've actually got a large bit of space. They're actually looking at different things for them. So it depends on the size of the business as to how they can adapt. But there's a lot of things that they need to adhere to. Yeah.
Yeah. So on your coffee machine, I can't see the comments are on this, but I'm pretty certain it's Jane who's missing the coffee machine in our office. That is for sure. So I mean, realistically, how the hell does an employer prepare to reopen an office? What can they do? What equipment do they need to put in place? What sort of sanitizing? What do they need to do? Because for me, you've just described my business there, and it's a walking nightmare to reopen the offices.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, there's various solutions, and I'm not here to sell. It's more just to get people thinking. That's the big thing. People need to think about their space and how they can adapt. So just that simple walkthrough there, where generally someone's coming in as an entrance to reception or whatever it may be. You get a lot of places, say manufacturing, where you might have a meeting room. You've got to go through a little bit of shop floor first. So certain things, obviously, that need to be looked at. But once every area is assessed, and what can you do? I think a big thing that every business owner needs to look at is actually speaking to staff and sort of saying, right, before they've done the risk assessment and before they've actually seen and gone through it with the staff, as in the written side that they're going to sign to adhere to, I think a big thing is to sort of bring it up with a member of staff, whether it be on a Zoom call, whether it be, something similar or a call. What do you see as an issue for you to return back to work? So as soon as you've then got all the employees raising their concerns, that's then built into the risk assessment. I think you're in a great position as a business owner to go, right, hang on a minute, right, I've now covered everything off and more. So you're not going to be in a situation where, let's say you've got a capacity of 40 people in your office and you've only got 10 working, you've got a bit of rotational basis going. And then someone comes in who's not been in for a few days and go, oh, what about that? Something covered? Well, I'm going to know it has. We've been through everything. There's no stone unturned. So I think making staff, being involved in that process on the assessment side, I think is key for any business. I really do. No matter the size of it either. That's key. Ultimately, your staff make your business. So I think it's key for everyone to look at that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's nice that your team's involved in that because they've got to feel comfortable on it. And like I say, it's a big part of dealing with the feel factor. So I don't know about you, but my inbox has been absolutely bombarded with people trying to flog me PPE equipment for the office and things like that and all these sorts of things. And I know you've got some quite strong views on this. So what's your viewpoint on all this sort of what I think is scaremongering that's going on?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's always going to be that company where they try to take advantage and everything's overinflated. We can sell, and you won't see no promo from me, but we can sell, the dividing screens, the perspex screens, which are quite a long lead time at the moment, but there's glass screens. There's various options that can be done. Now, one thing I'll say is, let's say you sat at a desk or a bench desk where you've got a few people, like you've got in your office, with some people, maybe 2 or 3 people sat next to each other and then opposite each other. So you've got a bank of 6 desks. You've got a scenario there. If you've got screens that 600 high, whether they be perspex or glass, irrelevant, and someone sneezes, they're supposed to the catch that, you wipe it off it and you're sort of done, let's say. Obviously, if anyone's got the symptoms, they're not going to be in work anyway, so you'd like to think that that's sort of being adhered to with staff. But all it takes then is for that person in the office to get up and go to the kitchen to make a brew, or it takes them to go downstairs to the toilet or go out on the dinner. You straight away, you've removed someone from, let's say, the safe space. You know what I mean? So there's various angles that you can look at to say that's not just a solution. I've seen vast, over the top solutions where people start looking at putting fixed screens between desks, glass screens. It's going to cost the business owner a fortune. And ultimately, as you know, the open plan office is huge. And when people start dividing the space back up, 6 months' time, could be 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, whatever it may be, when this sort of blows over, you then got a situation where people say, right, I need that removing now. And there's probably spent a lot of money on that, or maybe a fixed wall, where they've sort of re-looked, sort of space plan and said, right, we need to do that as an extreme. So I think there's a lot, just need to be careful. All the PP equipment has significantly increased in price. And you'll see that. So that's a big factor. Now, we have got a solution. There are solutions out there where you sort of press your foot on a pedal and then the gel comes out. So you've got minimal contact there. You can have these indoor and outdoor. So if you use that at the front door, let's say of your office, yeah, and I'll send you the invoice for it. I'll get you 4 of them. So you've got that at your office door. Someone then feels safe. The big sanitizer that they're coming into the office. In fact, you've got 4 sites, haven't you? I'll get you 12. There's various things that you can do, but ultimately with the PPE side, if you've got a setup where, so for instance, you've got sprays, you've got gels, let's say you've got a foot pump, whatever it may be, you need to make sure you've got stocks of it, because there'd be nothing worse than doing a full risk assessment with staff and getting them to sign something, right, you are going to adhere to these rules. These are my rules, my business. You adhere to that. Do you agree with it? Yes, we do. And they've all an input. And then a week later, you've got no gel left. And you go to the supermarket or go to your supplier and there's none left, they can't get hold of it. And it's a 3-week lead time. Imagine the business owner running out of stock. So that's one thing that people do need to look at. So
are you getting some feedback off my mic?
No, it's okay.
Oh, good. It's just me then. That's fine. That's all right. Okay, right. So is there any key ways to identify these cowboys that are out there? I mean, I guess it's fancy glossy brochures and things that are too good to be true and stuff like that.
I've never worked for this in anyone's business. At the end of the day, everyone's trying, you know what I mean? But one thing all I'll say to people is every business owner who've got staff and a formal workplace, I would seriously look at the procurement and the cost. It's so easy nowadays to do that comparison. It's easy to do that comparison. Recommendations are big. We get 80% of our work through networking. And I think that's a big thing in respect of making sure so you're getting the best price, but also the right products, and making sure that supplier has got the stocks. And as I just said there, you imagine purchasing something, you go, great, I've got that, lasts me a few weeks. And the next thing before you know, it's a 3-week lead time on things. It's a bit of a nightmare, really.
Just trying something a bit different now because I think there's a bit of feedback coming off my mic onto your machine. So I've actually muted you and I'll unmute you when I finish my question. So just be there. So one of the guys in the Northern Accountants group has asked about visitors and how they return back to the office. What's the best way to deal with those as well? How do you make those people feel welcome and comfortable?
So visitors, exactly the same as I sort of described a moment ago. Whether you've got staff or visitors, they've got to be the same. There's no difference because you've got visitors. However, if there's a visitor there and they're an existing client, you need to look at ways of, do you need to see them face to face? If you do, then great. You can have all the steps in place to ensure it's safe. As I mentioned, your entrance and your exit is generally the same door in most buildings, unless you've got a decent sized unit. So as long as you've got everything set up and it's been adhered to, then there's no real difference in the visitors. Obviously, if the 2 meter rule is still in place, you can have a meeting. You've got a couple of good meeting rooms still, so you've got the space. Some businesses only have a very, very small meeting room where you can get 4 people around the table. So that there, if you've got a 2 meter distance and that visitor doesn't feel safe, chances are the meeting won't take place. So again, if you've not got the full space in what you need, then you need to question: can you actually hold the meeting in the first place? I mean, I thought you'd have a few clients really pissed off, wouldn't you, if they're turning up and you said, "Oh, sorry," turn them away because there's not that distance there. So it needs to be looked at.
Yeah, I think one of the things we're looking at doing in particular, even though we've got the good spaces, is to keep all our meetings virtual for now. Because like you say, a lot of businesses have adapted really well to working from home and working remotely. And there's been some massive efficiency saves in that. So I do think that the stereotypical office won't necessarily return as it would have done before. What's your thoughts on that?
What, say again, Phil?
It's got a good feedback now. So I don't think that the stereotypical office is going to return as it did before.
Right, okay, yeah.
What's your thoughts on that? Where do you think it's going to go, and how it'll affect things?
I mean, I do fully believe that the businesses of a certain stature who have got an office need an office. You know, there's many things that happen within an office. I don't believe that every business could just run from laptops and people working from home. I really don't. You've got many businesses where they're not fully up to date. That, you know, the processes aren't bang on, and they don't know the efficiencies that staff are running to. So if you've got people at home who are quite easily swayed away from doing other things, let's say, as would be the case, and efficiency is not right, then you're creating problems down the line. So, you know, office is key. That's the first thing that I'd say, and I don't think it will return to sort of how it was before, because there are going to be a lot of changes that are needed. I think a lot of people will also look at the space. You know, people are going to be evaluating, saying, do I actually need this space or this much space? Or some people might say, you know what, this space is too small for what we need. You know, so there's various ways of looking at it, depending on the business, really. But that's why I'm sort of saying to people as well, don't go overboard with regards to, you know, putting these silly walls in. You know, we could go a lot of businesses and do sort of big fixed glass walls, and great, yeah, we'd take your money, and then in 6 months' time, 8 months' time, you're taking them down. Do you know what I mean? So there's certain things that people do need to look at. But I think the office as a whole, it will change in respect to the dynamic of what's about to, you know, come in regards to people coming back to work. But I think as a generalisation, I don't think much is going to change. Sort of on the whole, as in the workspace and the layout.
So I mean, you're quite feedback. You've been quite heavily involved in the, I'd say, almost the interior design of the Northern Accountants offices, and you've played quite a pivotal role in the way that they look and the way they feel in conjunction with the branding team and things like that. So you've brought some real sort of nice touches to our office, and it pains me to say this, but you've actually done a fantastic job on there across all 4 of the offices. So all these things that we're bringing in for the PPE and things like that, is there a way that we can use this to enhance people's visitors or team members' experience of visiting the office or anything along those lines, do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you have been very proactive. You know, from when the sort of pandemic started. Pains me to say it now, but you know, you feel very proactive. Yeah. But the point is, that will go a long way, and you know, and you're doing this, it will go a long way, because ultimately there's many accountants. You know, I've spoken to many people in different circles who sort of said, God, can I swear, I just fuck off from my accountant, and that's when you spit your beer out. So if you then put that then against a business where they've got signage, you know, it's clearly signed what you need to do. You know, you can have it in effect like a chaperone, or you've got someone in that office, whether it be you yourself or you're meeting someone, you've got to tell people this is what you need to do in this situation. I think if someone's up front and they've got everything in place, yeah, and I'm not just talking the PPE side, but it's all clearly marks what they need to do. I think that you know, that's going to stand you in good stead. For God, that's a great impression, and obviously impressions are massive.
Yeah,
one day you might start making a good impression with people.
I doubt it very much. Especially if they watch a video with me and you in it. That is for sure. So, yeah. So, I mean, like you say, there's this, and again, from your point of view, in terms of Redefine Group, it can come in. It can help businesses. It can help them enhance the experience. It can help them protect their team with the sort of stuff that they need to want to put in place. How are you going to overcome the sort of the state of mind of the business owner? So I'll use me as an example of thinking this is just an unnecessary expense. How are you going to convince people that this is actually something of real value as opposed to just a necessary expense?
Well, you said it, it's the value. It's what they need to do. And there's a bare minimum that someone needs to do. So as long as they adhere to that, I don't think people need to spend a silly amount of money. But again, it depends on the size of the space that they've got. Yeah. So if they've got, like I mentioned before, if they've got a big office and they've got plenty of space where they can actually spread people out, then great, you've solved an issue. But if they need to purchase something, it's what's going to be necessary to get them by. There's certain things that, generally people do get a couple of quotes, depending on the solution, but there's certain things that people can do. Not saying on the cheap, because you can't do anything. It's got to be right. You've got staff coming there. You can't pull the wool over people's eyes. And if you're risk assessing it at all, you've got to make sure it's covered in case there was an outbreak or something was to happen. Do you know what I mean? So I think the biggest thing is just making sure that staff feel safe. If you've got visitors coming, they also feel at ease as well. And like I say, it's clearly signposted as what you've done.
Mm-hmm. So they were the main sort of areas that I had in mind to talk about in terms of the logistics of getting things back to the office. Has anybody else got any questions? Or Ryan, have you got anything else you want to add to that element of what we were talking about?
Just one thing I'd say, as I mentioned, sort of the areas. You've got certain higher footfall areas with any commercial space. As I mentioned, kitchens, I've got toilets. You just need to make sure that you've got the adequate signage, as I mentioned, and that you've got the adequate PPE and supplies to make sure that it's looked after. There's also things to look at where you might designate 2 people in the office, where you say, listen, you're going to spray the handles when someone's been. You're giving a good impression to the staff. It's not the best job in the world, but ultimately, who wants to catch this? No one wants to catch it. So I think by just having a rota in an office is a good thing to say, listen, when they've been, clean it down. Even when they're leaving, show them. You're wiping everything down. And I think that then leaves, like I say, no stone unturned. But I just think this isn't, it doesn't need to be drastic by no. It's just common sense. A lot of it is common sense. Ultimately, you just be more clean than ever, and making sure anything that is touched, even like as I mentioned, even a light switch, that it is covered or a plug that goes in. Do you know what I mean? It's not hard, but there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of people where we'll try sell various things. You know what I mean? There's lots of things out there that people could do and go overboard with, but you need to ask yourself, is it needed? And a lot of it probably isn't.
No, that, to be fair, that's some really good advice. That I think you say common sense is going to be the thing that has to prevail in this situation, because it is so easy to get carried away with expenditure and things like that, and trying to get people back to work and make sure that we're able to operate. So one of the major areas that I think is a major issue for employers, and you touched on it earlier on, was how to overcome this fear for the team. Now, you've talked about doing the getting them involved, but what else can we do for somebody who is genuinely scared about coming back to the office?
Fucking sack them. We're not live still, are we? Oh, still live, shit. Right, okay, yeah, so, no, I think, like I say, if you go through, I keep mentioning the assessment because ultimately you've got to do an assessment. But if you go through and tell them what you've done and what you've got in place, what they need to adhere to, right? You can't do no more. If there's an option to work from home, then great. But ultimately, you are the boss, and they need to, abide by your rules. I think as long as they know the rules and the sign say yes, I'll adhere by that. There's nothing else you can do. The one issue, as I mentioned about people populating an office, if there's only 50% staff, or it's not that big where you've only got 30% staff, then that's going to be a big factor, because ultimately you can have all the things in place, but ultimately if you've got a bit too many people within the space and this is still lingering about, there's your problem. The issue is people. That's the issue of everything. It is the people. So yeah, you can have skeleton staff, let's say, in an office and still operate as you need to. So you start bringing more people in, the risk is obviously then increasing. And again, with the assessment, as I'm mentioning, you need to continually assess. And I would always bring staff into a point of saying, if you've got any concerns or any ideas, then let me know, or let your line manager know, because ultimately, it's staff who are coming there to work. If you've not got productive staff, you've then got issues where you're looking at, there's going to be a lot of redundancies, as you know, but you're looking at then, looking at ways of getting rid of a member of staff through sometimes maybe no fault of their own, because not everything's been covered, regards and feeling safe at work, which is obviously paramount.
So would you suggest almost appointing somebody, a member of the team, not somebody of the management team, to sort of be the spokesperson for the rest of the team to wear their concerns, to give a decent platform to talk things through with the management? I
would, yeah. I mean, obviously it's going to cost, so it's going to take a little bit of time for that person. But ultimately, you need to get everything ironed out in the first instance. So if you've got an office of 20 people, that when 8 return or when 10 return, you're covered. Yeah, and you're going to follow that rule. You're not really going to come back unless you've got like I said, they've got the space where you're going to bring 20 people back straight away into the office. Some people will try that. You've got call center environments where they may not be set up to work from home and they can't do anything. You've got 111 or 999. You've got them key workers there who have got to do that. So there's certain things in place that they've got to adhere to, and that's the nature of the beast on that particular side. But I do believe where you've got a business that, like I said, they can operate from a laptop, and you're not running back at capacity. I think that's a solution, or a big solution that people need to look to.
Yeah, I think so. So one of the questions people, somebody's asked in the group, I don't know who it is. It's they're saying, are you offering risk assessments for people working from home? Is that your bag, or is it more about providing them with the tools and the equipment they need to be able to do so?
So that's one thing we've not covered, is it? So you've got many staff at the moment who are working from home. Obviously, someone like yourself, Phil, you probably can't give your staff a £500 budget for a chair because I've had no orders yet. But you've got a lot of employers, some decent employers who said to the staff, you've got a few hundred quid there, go buy yourself a chair from Redefined Furniture.co.uk. So the setup from home needs to replicate exactly what's at work. There's people who I know who just proper tight, Marianne, who they've not bought a chair. So they might be using a dining chair or sat on a bench in the kitchen. Now, I've got a little saying where, you probably sat on your work chair more than you are in your mattress. Do you know what I mean? Or later your mattress at night even. So the point is, you need to just a small bit of investment will help. But you've also got people where they're working on laptops and they're crouched over, whereas they could get a simple stand. There's wireless mouse, keyboard. There's certain infographics that I could send people without them spending any money to say, right, this is how I should be sat. Your chair, it is key. Make sure your feet are on the floor, how you need to be sat. As long as you maintain that, you've got full support, and then you've got the equipment that's needed, and you're not slouched over, and you're not sort of scrutinising what you're doing there, then you'll be fine. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, desks or tables generally are about the same height. So a lot of it just go back to the equipment, and people can see how they should be sat. And there's a lot of people where I said they'll be doing many hours in the same position. Big problems down the line.
Well, on that note, I mean, you said you could share those infographics with people. If you could share those with me, I'll pop them in the group. But as well, also, if you could put together a list of equipment for people to consider and maybe some directions, some best recommendations from redefine.co.uk, that would be fine as well. We'll put that into the group. So again, no, because I know it's a shameless plug and things like that, but I do think that people need to be able to understand what is needed, for the considerations, because people are going to be in this for the long haul. I mean, one of the things we've talked about today, and we've not confirmed it yet, we might not reopen the office till the 1st of September. Now we're only on the 5th of June. So that's another 3 months before we even think about potentially reopening the office. So, for my team working from home, I've got to make sure that their equipment's in place, that they can print, they can scan, that they've sat in the right chairs, that the monitors are all those sorts of things. So if you've got anything that you can share with us, that would be great. And I'm pretty certain Sarah will be able to share with us the risk assessment templates that we can get the team to carry out. I mean, that just provides real value. So if you could do that for me, that would be great.
Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely fine. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's many products, but again, people don't need to go overboard, because ultimately, if someone's comfortable in how they're working, then absolutely fine. But the point is, if people, like you say, if your staff can work from home for the 3 months, they've got by and they can still get by, then great. No shameless plug. But at the end of the day, if someone can't fit another chair in the house, you know what I mean? Then you've also got that to consider. But ultimately, your staff well-being, whether at home or at work, is key for any business, and that needs to be considered. You know what I mean? Definitely.
Absolutely. So if you could share those with us, that's great. I think someone's asked about if you offer the review service. I don't think you do, but we've kind of covered it with the infographics. Oh, hang on, you're talking, and then say again.
Yeah, in general space, we would do. Of course, we would. I mean, obviously from home, we can't go to visit people's houses, but I can, like I said, I can send information so they know they've got the right setup. Which is there's about 10 points on it. 5 of them being, make sure you sat correctly, which is a big thing. A lot of people do start to slouch over. Do you know what I mean? And that's a big sort of concern. You might not feel it now, but you might feel it in a few months' time. You might feel it in a couple of years' time. But the point is, if your spine's not sat correctly and not got the right support, then you will create problems down the line. So so if someone work from home can send something out which will show how you should be sat, what equipment you can consider, and a big thing, a huge thing for anyone is the eye line of their screen. So as a DSA assessment would go, you'd be looking at your eye line being sort of just below the top of the screen. So some people face down and look at the laptop. So that's a big issue, something people need to consider. So even lifting the laptop and putting it on boxes or whatever, or books, it doesn't really matter. But make sure you're at the right height, because then your posture should then fall into place and how you sat.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. So there is one burning question that people are asking in the group, Ryan. Before I go on to that, has anybody else got any other questions, or is there any other thing that you want to cover, Ryan?
No, there's not really more, nothing more to consider. But like I say, for anyone, I mean, there's a big worry for everyone in returning to work, and it is a big worry. But like I say, as long as you assess everything and just use your common sense, and the biggest thing is, as long as you can speak to your staff and you get feedback, you can't go far wrong. The problem lies when something's not being properly communicated, or someone's really scrimping and scraping, when saying, "I won't bother with that. That'll be fine." Do you know what I mean? The more signs you can have, the more you're covered. Do you know what I mean? So you'll be fine. So get your fucking hand in your pocket.
I can just see Marianne pulling her hair out at your language, Ryan, but there we go. I've been a model of restraint. So, okay then. So if no one's got any other questions, the only question that remains to ask Ryan is, what's with the hat, and is your hair really that bad?
What hair?
Oh, look at that. Look at that hairline. Wow. Put your hat back on.
You're beautiful. That's it.
Oh, dear me. Well, basically, that's it from me. That's everything that I wanted to ask. And hopefully it's provided some real value for the team. Next week, so first and foremost, thank you so much to Ryan for joining us. Disappointed that he didn't bring the Jáger bomb and he came with a strong bow. But there we go. But no, like I say, thank you. Marianne's saying cut. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us those insights. I've certainly learned quite a bit off you, which I didn't think I'd ever say. But I have. I think you've done a great job there. I really appreciate it. Next week, we've got Lee Clayton, and he's going to be on to talk about probably a less, well, I don't think it'll be a less sexy subject than PPE, but it's all about the investments and the markets and the pensions and all those sorts of things, and those things that do matter to us as business owners. So I think it's important. That's where it goes. Marianne has put one last thing to say. She says she thinks you should give it one last shameless plug to promote Mad Franz for your Christmas party.
Is this you promoting your party?
Well, I'll promote mine and you can promote yours. We'll be back. We'll obviously be back last Friday in November. You're now our designated.
You hope you will, anyway. You hope you will.
Well, yeah, we hope we are. Yeah, actually, maybe not, because it'll save a fortune. So yeah, but yeah. So yeah. So, are you anything else to say, Ryan?
I've not really. The only sort of party thing, really, like I say to anyone, is just remove the fear. Fear is the biggest thing that's going to happen when any of this, when you sort of try and go back to any form of normality. And I think as long as people remove the fear factor, you just can't go wrong. Don't be duped into stupid price and stupid products that you don't really need. Think also 6 months down the line, when it's blown over and things are more under control, and it's practically gone, let's say, or it has gone. How will you then adapt and go back? So ultimately, when you're taking signs down off walls, you're moving little sanitizer stations, etc., bang, you're back to normal, without spending thousands of pounds.
Yeah, brilliant advice, Ryan. Hang on. Brilliant advice, Ryan. I think that's all that's left to say is thank you, cheers, enjoy your afternoon, and stay safe, my friend.